On this week's show, we welcome Geoffrey Cole, also known in the pro wrestling world as Shooting the Indies.
I just can't feel this soul, so we'll just keep shoveling. Oh!
That was difficult. I mean, I'm proud of you, Brian. You dug deep on that one, and you did pull that one off.
I didn't even have to memorize it. I read the whole thing.
I was sweating a little bit there. It was.
I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you.
It was good.
Yeah.
Speaking of good, how are you, Geoffrey?
I'm not bad. Tired.
Tired. Well,
I'm
you
tired.
have a baby, so that
I have an almost 2-year-old, and I'm juggling 2 jobs and trying to fulfill all of my hobbies that I stupidly signed myself up for, and also try to juggle a bunch of friendships with people. It's fun.
This is going to be a great conversation. We've got so much to talk about. Before we get into that, though, I just want to say hello to our co-hosts, and one specifically, Ryan. It's been about a year and a half since we've seen you.
I finally came out of hibernation. I've been sleeping. I got all my food together, and I ran out. Is what happened. I ran out of food and booze, and went, I gotta start working again. Yeah.
Actually, I think the last time we saw Ryan, he was going on a cruise, and then he's just resurfaced. So
it's actually true. That's actually so. The cruise must have been good. You obviously disappeared after the cruise, and
long recovery.
long recovery, man. I've got my boat legs still, so we're almost there.
Well, I'm really happy you're back, man. It's really good to see you. I know that you've been working your ass off doing your job as manager. Congratulations to you for doing so well at it, and for pulling through the holiday season. Glad you're back, my friend. And Aurora, speaking of working through the holiday season, how have you been?
I've been good. I really liked our episode last week. It was a lot of fun.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Aurora and I had all the fun. You guys didn't have to be there.
I got my shot just before that, and I had shoveled that day, and it was just I felt horrible.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with Brian.
My second show I've ever missed. Only 2.
Where's the dedication, Brian? Coming from me,
I'm sorry. So
Aurora,
go ahead.
None that I've been invited on. So
perfect. 100%.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. We got to geek out over D&D, or I got to geek out over D&D the whole time, especially right after having a D&D session that was almost a total party kill. So it was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, this week I've just been working a lot, and next week, not this coming week, but the week after, I'm going on vacation. So for 4 days, it's not very long, but
nice.
Just like a little break is going to be nice to have.
A little decompression time.
Yeah, and I've been playing some video games, so that's kind of fun too.
Ooh, what are you playing?
I wanted a little bit of nostalgia. There was a game that I played when I was a kid, Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah.
And I replayed it and just beat it the other day. So yeah, that was kind of fun. Nice.
I was always a Sony fan, but I never got into Ratchet and Clank. I was kind of done with the platformers by the time I really dove into PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Yeah. So
I just got the Oculus Quest 2.
I'm leaving.
Got all the toys.
I do. I'm lucky in that way.
When I say I'm leaving, I'm just going to do the show from Jeff's place at this point. So.
Yeah. We'll put the VR headset on and just.
I'll meet you there.
Touch each other.
That would actually be an interesting show.
Yes.
Well, glad you're here also, Aurora. And Mark, how have you been, man?
I've been good. Actually, went to the dentist this afternoon. Got 2 fillings, so that was great.
Yuck.
Lots of fun.
Good yuck fillings.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Hello?
whatever. I mean, he drilled and he filled, and away we went. And so the best part is they were shallow enough that there was no freezing or anything. So I didn't have that whole. I felt like I have a stroke. It was.
That's the best part. I'm sorry. Yeah. Freeze me.
Well, no, they didn't. There was no pain. There was nothing.
It doesn't matter. If I hear the sound, I need to be frozen.
So a quirky fact about me is I don't. I have a phobia of metal, in my mouth, so I don't use metal utensils ever. And going to the dentist is hands down the worst time of my whole entire life. They'll try to bring out as many plastic tools that they can use as possible, but I need I need them to freeze me, but I'm also terrified of needles. Just for them to do any work with me with like metal, it's insane. I hate it. They have to reupholster their whole like chair when I'm done.
And
Wow.
Do you know like the? So I was gonna say, do you know the origin of that, or is it just something that
I'm buffed, man.
That's
it. That's the origin. I don't like. I've always remembered using plastic utensils. Even like talking about it bugs my teeth and makes me get all like weird. At my wedding, they laid out plastic utensils for me and everything. Like I'm weird, man. You guys will figure it out. I'm weird,
but that's okay.
Do they look at you sideways though when you tell them you're afraid of needles and you're covered in tattoos?
Yeah, everyone does. Like even when
How does that work?
went and got vaccinated, they're like, I'm like full blown panic attack, and they're like, you got it's completely different. It is so completely different. I can sit there and be tattooed for hours. Yeah. It feels like someone's just scraping a toothpick over a really bad sunburn. A needle, you're getting in me. You're experiencing who I am, and nobody wants that.
The biggest trick I find is don't look. Just don't look. Like I can watch. Like you, I can be tattooed for hours and just sit and watch it. I don't care. But as soon as somebody brings a needle, I just can't look while they put it in. Like if you're taking blood from me, I'll look away, stick it in, and then I can watch the vial fill all day. That's cool. And hand me the warm vial. That's awesome. But I just can't watch you sticking in. And that's
I was medically compromised back in like October, and it was my first time having to get an IV because I had to go under for surgery. My wife says it's a joke. I was barely medically compromised, but it was my first time getting an IV, and it was just like I was asking every single question I could possibly ask. I was like, wanted to see the paperwork that they were, able to actually do that to me, and I was probably just laughed at the hospital nonstop. But like the whole IV,
like, what's in that IV bag? I want to see it out of the lab. I want that tested before you put it in me.
What gauge is that needle? Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? Where's your diploma?
It was my first time like being put asleep for for anything. I've never, even for like a dentist, they've never put me asleep. And I remember like there was like a male doctor and the male sleep doctor, the guy that like puts you to sleep. And then there was 2 female nurses, and like, I'm like, seconds away from going under. So like, I'm like kind of loopy, also kind of panicking and all dizzy. And I was like, so long story short, they had to do surgery on my dick for a kidney stone. You needed to know that part of the story for this to make sense, but basically, as I was passing out and I'm like just kind of like blacking out, I was like, "Remember, ladies, it's really cold in here."
Oh.
And they were like, "Oh, do you need a blanket? Are you cold?" And I was like, "No, it's really cold in here." And I'm like starting to black out, and the sleep doctor's like, "Jeff, we're all medical professionals. We've seen them all before." And that is the last thing I remember. They probably pulled off the blanket. They were like, "Oh shit, it's so small."
I think that's any guy.
You can cut all that.
That's just any guy on their deathbed that will be like, it's cold, guys. It's just cold in this room.
I will not cut that out of this episode. That will not be cut out of this episode.
I was swimming. The water was cold.
Shrinkage. Yeah, medically compromised though.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it through.
Yeah.
Fully intact. Is this before or after the baby?
This was literally like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Okay. It was really bad. It was.
But you've already had the baby now, so you don't need to worry about performance ever again. So.
Yeah, Bree wants another one. Me.
Okay, let's get into what we're talking about today. First of all,
is this not what we're doing? We're not.
I feel like we're just going to talk about everything.
We're going to talk about a lot of things, but people need to know.
I do not want to get on track at all. I want to be off track at all times.
We are
You've
totally
come to the right place.
We don't even know if there's a track anymore. We squirrel like everywhere. But at the same time, we have to tell people you are a photographer and you do a lot of other things than that. I see you as a full creative, and I've known you for a few years now. When we first started talking, you mentioned how you're a musician as well, and you played me some of your music, and that's when I was just like, oh, this guy's got like all these same kind of interests that I have. But then you have like the cigars and all the other the cool things, and you have like Oculus, and you have all these cool toys now, and the guitars. So you're like you're dabbling everywhere now. we've talked to a lot of people on our show, and we've definitely seen how photographers in general generally have several other art interests as well. So maybe you can just kind of give us a rundown. We see things differently. There's no doubt about that. Maybe you can just give us a rundown of how it all started for you being a creative, and just a quick progression to where you're at today.
It basically started like I was a musician, and that was my goal, was just to play music. My goal was never to be like famous, but it was just to like play as much music as much as I can and let people connect with whatever I was singing about or writing about. I would say money wise, I was probably the least successful musician in the world. For like what my goal was, I was probably the most successful musician in the world. I had people coming from different circles, all meeting with each other and knowing each other, becoming friends of people from like different worlds and everything who'd have no right to like ever know each other. All became really close friends. People were singing my songs at the shows, and like that just, you know, shows that it's not like they're not just there to like be like, oh, my buddy's performing, so I'm gonna go buy a ticket and drink all night. Like they knew the music, and
that was who, like, my fans were. They just, you know, just supporting the band. They didn't really
enjoy it. Which
you guys had fans?
I would have been like completely fine with that, but like that just like meant to me that like it was more than just like, hey, let's go support Jeff. It was, we actually like his music. We're listening to it when he's not singing. Like we're putting the CD into the CD player like that, and then hitting play and knowing it, right? So that meant something. Then like, you know, just get older and moved on to other things. I got married. We moved out of the city, and I actually hated living anywhere near the city. So like that was the downfall of music, was just like, I don't want to be around people as much as possible. I love people, but I just don't like, I'm done. Like at that time I was like probably 30, and I was just done. I still love playing music and I miss it, but I fell into like a pretty deep depression when I stopped playing music, because I missed that, like, not the like, hey man, you're so good, but it was like, hey man, like that song you wrote, I can connect that way, and it meant something to me, right? So through the depression,
you missed impacting people.
Exactly,
having that presence,
So like from there, I just kind of, there was one of my barbers at the barbershop that I managed had a camera, like a Canon Rebel with like a nifty 50 on it, and I would pick it up while I was at the shop and took some photos of cigars and stuff, and it felt good. And then I just like dove in, as I usually do, like as hard as I possibly can, just researching all night, every night for, you know, 6-7 hours every single night when I'd get home from work, just trying to learn as much as I possibly could. When I got my own camera, my own lens, and I started like shooting some friends and whatnot, and like those people were like, oh, like this kind of feels like when you were doing music, like, because you're bringing like more people together and connecting, and oh my god, I didn't know I looked that good, and really I had no clue what I'm doing. I'm like ISO, K, whatever, click to pick, right? That's all we really do. From there, like if I got that, like what I was missing from the music, I started like feeling that again. Like I started filling that hole, and I just jumped in full speed, doing as much as I can, like shooting as many cigars as I possibly could. I really love the product photography, and then I realized, like, wrestling, I love wrestling. People need photos. Let's do it. Let's go. And then I did that.
That's absolutely awesome, because what I love the most is that you're somebody who, you had a passion, you had something that you were working towards for years of your life, and then it wasn't until you were in your 30s, but correct me if I'm wrong here, that you decided to pick up photography. And I mean, coming from myself, I can't speak as a photographer unlike the rest of the host here, but I always thought that your work stood out, yours, Brian's, and there's one other that I can't think of her name right now. But I always thought that those three always stood out to me when I started researching independent wrestling and seeing what was out there. So for you to take that on at such a later stage of your life at 30, I mean, that's impressive. That's extremely impressive. I'm 30 and less than 365, and I'm like, I have no interest in picking up anything new right now. So
you got to know, like I say to my wife, like I'm high functioning ADD, like whatever it is, but like the one thing that like keeps me going constantly is trying to learn something new all the time. And just like we were saying before we started, like the fish tank thing, like 2.5 years ago, I actually started dipping again with my depression, and I went to go to PetSmart to get a litter box for my cat, and I came home with a fish tank, whole aquarium, fish, plants, everything, and that just kept snowballing. And then I started getting like obsessive about it again and watching as many YouTube videos as I possibly could. And now I have a couple tanks where I have like all live plants in them, and I don't care about the fish, but like, you know, that's, you just constantly trying to like learn new things and be as good as you possibly can at it. And you're never going to be the best. Like my goal, I know I'm never going to be the best at anything I ever do, but my goal is to be the best that I can be at it, I guess, if that makes sense. But I just realized yesterday in my Facebook feed, I posted a photo of my wife when I got my first ever lens that I bought. So that was 4 years ago yesterday. So 4 years ago yesterday was when I started my photography career. And
well, happy anniversary.
It's only been 4 years. Wow, that's
awesome.
Honestly,
so that's like
really
that's a big part of the wrestling side of things, is like a lot of people think I've been doing it for so long. Like I was in the wrestling industry a little bit like many moons ago. I did some like promoting and managing and stuff like that. So people like knew of me. So when I like jumped back onto the scene doing photography, everyone just assumed that I've been doing it for a while. Little they know, like I've only had a lens for. I shot my first show in I think it was in March, and I got my first lens January 23rd. So I'd only learned photography for like 2 or 3 months, and I just jumped in as quick as I could, learned as much as I possibly could. Fake it till you make it. Like, don't tell anybody you don't know what you're doing until much later. Like then they're all like, ha ha. Like I did my first studio shoot, and the person was like, hey, I love your work. Do you want to do some studio stuff for me? And I was like, 100%, sign me up. This is my rate. And then I'm like, Brian, what do I need to do a studio shoot? And this is what you need. And the stuff showed up the night before the shoot, and I put everything on backwards on the hot shoot. I had no clue what I was doing.
It's true.
Brian, like, and you coached me how to use it all. And like, I think like a big part of like me with photography is like just like I'm not super techie with this stuff, but I think I have like a pretty good eye, and I know like
that's the
just
key.
the little things to get to where I need to be. I'm really good at falling into like tripping into the proper like solution, if that makes sense. Don't cut that. I know exactly what I'm doing.
This man is professional. It just works. What he does, he creates gold, and he's worth every penny. Don't lower your rate.
But I'm also really good at post-production. That was one thing where like I was always really good with Photoshop. Like back in my high school days, I spent a lot of time doing Photoshop and whatnot. So right when I got like the camera, out of the back of the camera, it might not look the best, but once you give me some time to sit down, like I can make people look pretty good. I think like I'm doing the best I can, and obviously people are coming back to me all the time and saying I'm almost as good as Brian. So that must mean something.
Come on,
get out of here.
So this is okay. I want to touch on this for a quick second.
Yeah,
you and I kind of travel in the same circle in some degree. I'm really restricted with where I shoot. I shoot in 2 places. I shoot in Barrie and I shoot at Demand Lucha for Jordan, and it's for my own personal reasons. And you and I have had this conversation. You know, my whole hashtag I shoot for me. I truly believe that I do it just for my own peace of mind. And I don't go out there to try and take business from other people, but you do this for a business. And we've had conversations before, me assuring you that is not my goal to take your business away from you or anybody else's business away
I like
from
to
them.
call it food off my daughter's plate. You're definitely not taking food off my daughter's plate. 100%. That's not what you're doing. Totally. Never once have you taken food off of my daughter's plate. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, but it is what it is, man. Like anywhere you go, there's going to be someone, one, who does it better than you, Brian, and 2, like is doing it for different reasons. And who am I to tell you like what you're allowed to do and not do? My problem lies when there's someone that is like the drizzling shits and they're doing it for free, and the promoter or the band, whoever it is hiring this person, goes, well, we can get it for free, so we might as well get it from that person. but that person literally is the drizzling shits. They're taking money off of like, or food off my daughter's plate. That's the way I look at it.
It is a very competitive world. It is.
It is. Yeah.
And if there's somebody that's better than me, Brian, whether you pay you do it for free or you charge the exact same as me or charge way more, that's really none of my business. You got the gig, right? Like, they're not going to you because you're doing it for free. You're good at what you do.
And I asked to do it.
Well, that's right. Like, well, yeah, if you were like walking on my heels everywhere I go, and you were like, okay, so Jeff's gonna go there and he's gonna charge X amount of dollars. Well, I'm gonna do it for this amount just so I can take the job away from him. But it's the people that do it for free that drive me mental, because like, one, you're not doing anything for yourself. Like, you're not really like the people that are drizzling shit. It's not you, Brian. You should be charging because you're really, really good. But you do it because you thoroughly enjoy it, right? There's tons of photography that I do for free because I thoroughly enjoy it, and I would rather just
more
do
than
that.
enjoy it.
But,
I mean, for myself, with Day Tripper, it helps me learn and it helps me teach, and it's rolled over into workshops and so on. So, but at the same time, where you're coming from is absolutely valid, and you have to realize that there are these people out there, and in any profession, just like you're saying, in any profession, that think that they want to do it, that think that they want to be a player in it, and will go and follow people and literally try and undercut other photographers to get that job. But I think with yourself specifically, you have achieved a certain standard of quality that people will come to you, and now you can be they come to you to shoot events. Now, events aren't happening right now, which really sucks. So first question I have for you is, are you okay? Okay, well, that's actually the first question. How are you handling the lack of shooting? And the second question is, are you having people still contact you for events that are coming up?
Yeah, I'm booked, man. Like, I'm booked to like, I was gonna say, there's a lady in the chat room. I was gonna say booked to the tits, and now cut it.
Brian will just not edit that out.
Just don't say book to the tits. Don't say it.
I've been listening to the Always Sunny podcast. I hate podcasts, just to be honest with you. I because I love interrupting and telling people how my opinion is correct and theirs is wrong, and I can't do that when I listen to a podcast. I can do it when I'm on a podcast. But the Always Sunny one, like, they always say such inappropriate stuff, and then they go, just cut it. But they never cut in.
Never cut it.
They just leave it all.
Cut it.
So it's just like them sitting there going, cut it. Yeah, I'm totally booked up.
That's good.
That was my segue from the cut to back to where we are. No, yeah. What just happened?
I just flipped it over so everybody can see some of your work.
Oh, crazy.
This is your website, right? Shooting the Indies?
This is my website. Yeah, so outside of like shows being booked, I am getting some bookings for shows, but for the most part, like, I'm just getting booked for other stuff. I'm doing a lot of boudoir photography now. A lot of the girl wrestlers still reach out to me because they need content constantly, so I'm just booking for that. Still doing product photography and everything. With the whole shows, like Brian, you know, like, we don't get paid much even when we do like charge somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So me driving to Pittsburgh or me driving to Cornwall or me, like, I love doing that. I get to ride with like one of my best friends, Josh, and like, we have so many stories, but like, for what little money. And now that I have a daughter, because my daughter was born right at the beginning, like literally at the beginning of the pandemic, like, I haven't experienced that, like, hey, I'm going to go away for a show and I'll be gone for, 28 hours. And that's 28 hours I'm missing with my daughter. So like, that's the kind of like silver lining of everything, like with shows not happening. At the same time, like, I'm shooting so much other stuff. So like, I make a lot more money doing the other stuff, and the wrestling, it's the passion with a little bit of money. So like, I can be a little bit more selective with what I do. There's a couple great promotions in Ontario that I still love working with, and I probably always will, regardless of how much money I want to charge. I just enjoy it, right? Like, I will just never up my rates for those people. Like Pro Wrestling Ontario, like, Travis is a great guy. I love working with him. He's just a good dude. He's got he's got a good creative mind. He looks to me for advice with, you know, his own media stuff that he does for the actual show, because he knows that like I have some experience in the past. So I just thoroughly enjoy doing that, and then I get to see a bunch of my friends as well. I currently am the vice president of Destiny Wrestling, so my days fill up, you know,
pretty quickly. It sounds like, yeah.
When the Destiny show gets booked and it's time to actually, like, you know, book the matches and figure everything out, my days fill up really, really quick. A lot of meetings with George. Such a good time working with George. He's smart, brilliant man. Puts a lot of gives me a lot of leeway. Lets me kind of roll with a lot, and I learn a lot from him. And it helps me with the other stuff outside of photography. You know, just like producing and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, it sucks that shows aren't happening, but I'm still pretty busy, and I love it. I love it a lot.
And you also are super creative at finding new ways to get paid.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned it, that you don't get a lot of pay from actually shooting an event, but you found other ways around that. You've done deals with the wrestlers themselves to sell photo packages and to do exclusive offerings like that. We're not going to talk for too long on it, but maybe you can give us a brief understanding of how that creative twist came. And you were just basically seeing a need, you need to make more money, and filling that need with this great idea. So maybe you can give us an idea of how that happened.
It mostly started with like wrestlers needing promo shots, and every single thing that they print is drizzling dog shits. It looks horrible on a merch table, and I don't come from a lot of money. My dad took me to wrestling shows, and when I see these other families that are in the same situation, and they go and they buy an 8x10 and it's printed on something less than a piece of paper, it just like it doesn't feel good. So I'm like, how can we make this better? And a big part of it too is a lot of the stuff is either, you look at any Ontario indie wrestling show and you look at the merch table, you're going to see all of my photos, you're going to see all of Brian's photos, and that's all you're going to see. There's nothing else out there unless they print it up from a fan like iPhone photo or something like that. And I want our work to be represented properly. So the best thing I can do is print it myself and sell it to the wrestlers. I don't upcharge them a lot, but it gives the wrestlers a chance to have a much better product that they can stand behind and that they can maybe charge a little bit more. And when that kid, you know, when the dad buys the photo for the kid, that kid might hold on to it a little bit tighter because it's a nice thick card stock. It's double-sided. It's high quality print. He can put it on his wall and it means more than just a shitty Staples piece of paper that, you know, costs somebody 15 cents. So part of it was like, hey, I want to make more money, but most of it was like respect the product. Everyone should just really respect, you know, we're all branded in our own way, whether it be me as shooting the indies or Brian, the way you like, you know, brand yourself, or a wrestler and his gimmick. It's all branded in its own specific way. A wrestler is a brand. And if you respect your brand and you do the best you can to look as great as you possibly can, you know, maybe they're going to, the promoters are going to think like, oh, you were here, but now you're up here because of, you know, just the way you carry yourself and
absolutely
and what it is. So that's a big part of it. Like, you know, just
one thing that I've noticed too with you, like, because we've worked a few times together at PWO and a couple other promotions, and we were talking earlier about, you know, shitty photographers who come in and do it for free. And I think that you add not only a professional element to it, but you genuinely care about trying to elevate each product that you're working with. So
100%.
I've seen you backstage at PWO, and I've seen the messages that go through leading up to an event. Hey guys, Jeff's going to be there with his setup. Get in touch with him. He wants to help you out. Like, it's crazy to see the different level of passion that someone could have compared to the drizzling shits of somebody who goes, yeah, I just want to get some photos out there and get my name out, and it's all about them, right? So there is definitely a disconnect that people will see of, this is a passionate guy that runs a professional business compared to, oh, that guy's just. And unfortunately for you, there will always be promotions that will take the cheaper route.
100%, 100%. And then one day I'll come in and make them look really good. I think a big part of why I started all this, though, was never to make money. I just realized how many hours I was putting into it. My goal was to make Ontario indie wrestling look as good as it possibly could. And literally right before I got on this call with you guys, someone posted a photo that I didn't take. I did as you were saying, like a full backstage promo day. And he came up to me and he said, what's your rate? And I told him my rate. And he's like, money's a little tight. And I said, I absolutely respect that. I tried to pull him aside and tell him I'll give a discount rate, but he said, money's really tight. And I can totally respect that. I completely understand. When someone says that to me, I'm going to do everything I can in my power to try to get them behind a camera like I said, it's not about the money. It's about making Ontario indie wrestling look as good as it can. And anybody, even if like you're not a wrestler or if you're like, you know, a promoter, you got to look, everyone's got to look good. And if I take your photo, whether it takes 5 minutes or I spend like an hour with a person, like if that's just one photo is going to make him feel better about his day, I'm going to do it. He just wasn't comfortable asking for a discount. So he walked in. I totally can appreciate that. But then someone else shot him and they were offering a very big discount day. And I saw the photo and I reached out to the person that shot him and said, like, I'm so pumped that like you did this. What was your setup? Just so that I can like, because I know the guy's like trying to get into photography and he, you know, he respects what I do and he like talks to me. He says, I don't want to step on your toes.
So no animosity at this stage.
Zero animosity. My whole goal was never like, hey, why did you take this photo? That's my job. My total goal with messaging him was, hey, can I give you a little bit of advice on how to make this a little bit better so he can use that photo for more than just like a display photo or something so he can send it to promoters, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was super appreciative. I wasn't doing it to fill my ego in any way whatsoever. It literally is just like buddies helping out buddies. Brian, you would do the same thing to me, and I would try and do that to somebody else because at the end of the day, like if this guy that couldn't pay my rate paid a little bit less, I still want him to get the best photos he can get, even if it wasn't through me. It's just about making the product look as good as it possibly could, making that guy feel like $1 million.
Yeah,
elevate everybody around you. That's the whole goal, is to elevate everybody.
Yeah,
that's what I think I connected so well with you when we first started chatting, was because your goal wasn't to be stepping on anybody. It was literally to learn as much as you can and to do as well as you could. And I love that, man. Anybody comes to me and asks me for help or asks me a question, I will absolutely help any way I can. And you just kept on asking. I kept on answering. And it was awesome. So I'm super proud of how far you've gone. Your brand is phenomenal, top notch.
Thank you.
Every event that I ever go to, everybody's showing up wearing the Shooting Indies hats and sweaters, and I love it.
It's crazy. I've been only in the wrestling industry for maybe 3 years now, and since I started, Shooting the Indies has been one of the mainstays that I've seen on everything. So for only 4 years doing it, that's unbelievably impressive.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a wild ride, and like I've been a wrestling fan since I was a kid, so being able to just like meet some of the people that I've met and experience some of the things that I've experienced. First show I shot, I got to sit beside Axe and Smash while they put their makeup on backstage, and I got to take a couple photos. So right there, I was just like, what the hell am I doing? What is that? This is cool, right? This is cool. Yeah.
That first trip you took to the AEW, I mean, that was a money trip for you. All those photos you made from that trip, that was notoriety. That's the thing. You go out there, you put yourself in a position to make those images, and then you market them correctly and you put them in front of people's face. So, and like you say, the brand improves for doing it smart. So well done. Good on you, man. Good on you. We're going to get to the final questions in just a second. But before I do that, I want to know if Aurora or Mark have anything that they'd like to ask.
I want to talk to Aurora. She hasn't said anything, and she's wearing an Arkell shirt. I just want to talk about the Arkells, really.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I like the Arkells a lot.
I went to high school with Dan Griffin, who was the original keyboard player for the band.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
On the first 2 albums, the only 2 albums that matter for them, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like the first 2 albums a lot too.
I actually have a really cool 45 they did for Record Store Day, where it's like they did 2 Motown songs, and they just released it for RSD, and I was able to pick it up, and I'm so pumped about it. It's really, really good. Really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check something like that out. Yeah, the Arkells specifically is a nice kind of band that both me and my boyfriend kind of share a love for. We've gone to a bunch of their concerts, like July Talk, Arkells, combos.
Yeah. And the Canadian combo.
Yeah, and I like them a lot. So nice. I'm kind of interested because I feel like that whole aspect of taking photography to a different kind of level in the business, as like you were selling the prints as well to these wrestlers. You found kind of a creative solution. You found a kind of creative market in that. and I know that you have multiple different creative passions, and you're always delving into all these different different things. Have you taken a similar kind of creative outlook on, maybe the job that you're in, or another one of those creative outlets to kind of take a different spin on it? Because I think that kind of idea making, that kind of creative thinking, puts other creators, or puts creators forward in their business, and I just think that's so cool.
I would say like that felt like an interview question. I was like sweating on that one. I think like a big part of like the money making aspect was like with just like trying to do creative spins was like it was always more about like how can we just elevate each other. When I was working at Henry's though, the Canon M100 printer, I think 1000. I don't remember which one.
P100, P1000, or sorry,
yeah. It went on sale, and I was saying to my wife, I was like, I think I should buy this. It's on sale, and I think I should buy this because I think I can sell prints. And she's just like, 100%, don't do it. You're an idiot. Stop buying shit. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna buy it. And then I went right to work and bought it. she's like, you're an idiot. Make some money. I'm like, okay. So like that day, I released my all in. I guess it was the all in photo of like Cody and all this facing off. And I was like, I'm not going to sell any of these. I'm going to do like a 50 print run or whatever. And like my wife came home, and then I was like laying on the floor, like probably so high from printer ink, but like out of the 50, I sold 50 of them in like a day or two. And I'm just like, she's like, why are you printing these off? You're only supposed to print them when you sell them. I was like, I just made so much money.
I gotta ask, when did the I told you so moment happen?
When I was laying on, you never want to do an I told you so with my wife, because you'll never be right. To this day, she's probably still like, the printer was a dumb idea. You're an idiot. But like I was just selling it, and then I got like a tweet from like all this, and I was just like, oh, hey, and I thought he was gonna like cease and desist me, and he literally was just like, how do I get one? Oh. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay, I could do that. And then I got another message, and it was from the guy that was like running NWA at the time, and he's like, hey, I'll promote this for you, just send me and Billy Corgan one. And I was just like, what? And he was like, yeah, here's Big Willie's address. And I'm like, cool, this is nuts. So like right from there, like they promoted it, and it sold out like crazy. But from that moment, I then realized, hey, if I can sell like a cool print like this, why can't I do this with like limited edition prints for Ontario indie wrestlers? And I started doing that with Josh, and I was printing 13 by 19 prints, and we were just selling them. And then it started getting to the point where like I would go down to Pittsburgh, and I had like I'm not famous in any way whatsoever. Like I'm not even slightly, but when I would go to Pittsburgh and shoot there, like I would have lineups for like backstage promo shots, and I didn't even have my rig, and like I would just be shooting them on a wall, and these guys would be just lined up all show, like students. They were just like shooting the indies, gonna be here, we got to get our photos with them. And I was like, okay, like
that's so good,
$10 maybe. Yeah. And they would just line up. But then like fans also knew of me there. And so what I started doing with that Canon printer was I would just print off like from the show prior, like 3 photos on like 5x7 glossies. And right at the beginning of the show, I would walk out and just hand them to fans. And like they just started knowing that like that was a thing I would do, and they would be looking out for it. And like that, like again, it wasn't about the money thing. It was just like, how can I make somebody feel really, really good about themselves? Just to hand them a free photo. And I would start like doing Instagram shots. Like, these are the photos that I'm handing out. Like, first person to find me,
smart,
say, hey, can I get one? And it's just like, yeah, like that whole like
just different.
I don't know. It's just tried to like think outside of the box. Sometimes it's about money. Sometimes it's not. A big part of like your question kind of was like, how did I do a creative twist with my job that I currently have.
Yeah.
When I first started, when my wife got pregnant and I got the new job at the office, my boss basically was like, your first job is to throw an event. I'm like, sure. Cigar events happen all the time. Basically what it is a bunch of like 50 plus dudes sitting there smoking cigars and eating food, and they're pretty boring. Everyone just sits with the people they know. I did not want to do that, so I came up with the concept of Cigar Slam, and I threw a cigar and wrestling show, and I combined my two passions, which I never thought I was going to be able to do. And a bunch of the wrestlers all signed up to work for free, and I was able to like still get the money at the end of it.
To this day, I'm mad I missed that show. I'm just throwing that out there.
We didn't advertise it. It was crazy. It was a cigar event with wrestling. It was never a wrestling event with cigars. So we had very little wrestling fans there. It was all the cigar industry side of things. And then there was a couple, like there's the Stogie Mania guys that do like the cigar and wrestling podcast here in Mississauga. So they caught wind of it and they bought, but like, I was just like, I guys, you're Ontario indie fans. I can't charge you what this ticket price is because it included cigars and a dinner. And they were $85 tickets and we sold them out, like $85 for an Ontario indie wrestling show ticket. And we sold it out, but it was so much fun, man. Like there's a photo of me, Hacker, Psycho Mike, BMD, and Brad Myers backstage smoking cigars. And it's one of my like all-time favorite photos, like outside, like even like wrestling, everything involved, just because it's like, it just combined my two worlds with like probably four of the coolest guys I've met in wrestling. But yeah, like that was a super fun night being able to just like creatively do
mix the two worlds. I think that's a really cool idea. Take a thing that's normally kind of boring and flip it around and add something, different and interesting.
I'm pumped. So, we had a meeting last week. I'm not really allowed to say anything yet, but there might be a Shmashmar 2. You heard it here first. It's not set in stone, but we are trying to set up another one and hopefully be able to invite more like wrestling fans to it, just because like a big part of it was like we could only sell a certain amount of tickets and we needed to make sure the cigar side of it was taken care of. So this time we're going to probably do a...
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
100%. It's signed. Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, is there anything you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I was just thinking when we had your work up on the screen of the wrestlers, obviously some of the venues that they were in with the lights up in the background. I mean, the shots are pretty epic, and obviously you're a musician with that industry in mind. Have you ever thought of crossing over into music and doing sort of the same thing you do with wrestling for the music world, like with clubs or into different events like that?
For the last 4 years, absolutely not. Me and Brian shot a wrestling show once at the Opera House, and there was a band that opened the show, Polarity, I believe they were called, who I knew from my music days. And when I shot that, it was one of the hardest fucking things I've ever done in my life. And they hit me up for the photos, and I would not release them just because like it hurt too much. I missed music so much, and it became way too real. And I absolutely was just like crushed by it. I was like, fuck you guys. That should be me up there. That shouldn't be you. That was my feeling. It was way too soon. I should have never shot that. It was horrible on my mind. But I really miss music, and I know I'll never be a musician ever again. So the only way that I can do, I've come to the realization now, like I've figured this out, that like my way, like I was never going to be a wrestler as much as I loved wrestling, but my way to help out wrestling was to do photography. So if I can do that with music now, I would love to. I went to the Horseshoe back in October and took like just a couple photos with my 35 mil and just loved it. I loved it so much. And I did some like lifestyle and portrait stuffs for a musician that I know, and I absolutely loved it. And it was just like, it was that feeling again where he's just like, oh man, like I'm using this for my album cover. And that felt like it felt like I'm in the music industry, if that makes sense. As much as I'm not, it just felt like I'm doing something musically.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really, really want to do that. I want to move forward and start going to some shows and just taking some photos, doing a lot of like work for musicians, whether it be like musicians that are trying to release something and they can't afford it. I'll help you out. Like, let's just shoot. I'm not stepping away from my wrestling side of things, but I've like finally started my business, my photography business account. It's just ggcole.photography on Instagram. Get my website going, but I'm shooting everything now. I'm like, wrestling's great. I'm always going to shoot wrestling as long as I can. But I just want to shoot. I just want to shoot anything. So on that page, I'm doing like family portraits. I'm doing lifestyle. I'm doing product photography. I'm doing boudoir photography. I'm doing absolutely anything I can shoot at all times. So music, I definitely want to get in there. I really, really want to get in there. I really, really, really want to get in there. I'm ready.
I think the theme of this episode is growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like that's incredible, man. Incredible.
Yeah. I just like, I'm at a point where it's like I just want to shoot, and if I can shoot, and if I can help anybody, if I can make money doing it, let's do it. I shot some hot sauce on Saturday. That was so much fun. A friend of mine started up a hot sauce company. He needed some photos, and I got to enjoy some nice hot sauce and take photos of hot sauce. So that's cool.
Here's how much of a non-photographer I am. I shot hot sauce, and I'm thinking, why would you do a shot off? No, that's
no chance. No chance.
What not to
There's
do?
a whole case of whiskey behind you.
No, not a chance.
So you actually think when I say "why shot me," I'm actually shooting people? Is that what you're trying to say to me, Ryan?
I just assume you're a mass murderer, Brian, at this stage.
By now. I totally understand what you mean about missing being in a band, though. Every time I see a live band, I just want to kick the drummer off and just play every single time. I can't help it.
When I played music, like in my band, I was the guitarist. Like I played rhythm and I sang vocals, but I started out as a drummer, and man, I set up lighting for a drummer because he does online teaching. He's like, I know nothing about lighting. You're shooting the indies. Can you come do this? And I was like, yeah, 100%. So I came and set up all his video lights, and I sat behind the drum kit, and I was just like, Daddy's home.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I know that feeling. Yeah. I love that feeling.
Yeah.
I want to touch on one more real thing, and then we're going to ask you our two questions.
Yeah.
The one more real thing.
Like 7.
I know, but there's only 2 that we really need to ask.
Okay.
One more real thing is our friend Hacker.
Yeah.
We
You're
talk
gonna do
about,
this.
I was like,
I have to. We have a lot to do with mental health on this show. The reason we do what we do is for mental health. There's a wrestler in our industry, a friend of ours, who had a major incident, and you stepped up and offered to use your services to help raise some money to help him and his family. The question isn't so much about Hacker. It's more about the power that we have as photographers or as creatives to step up and lend a hand to people that really need it with just our ideas and our creativity. So I guess the question is, how does it make you feel to be able to step up and be able to help him by raising money and doing the things that you can with just an idea and just some creativity?
Yeah, I hated it.
Tell us about
hated it, man. It was rough. It sucked. I so badly didn't want to do that project. It was too close to home. Hacker's a really, really good friend of mine. I shot his newborn photos with Charlie. I don't shoot weddings. I've shot weddings for him. Me and him get together every weekend, if not like every other weekend. He got into smoking cigars because of me. He became one of my best friends. And it's just, you just don't, it wasn't a fun project. I'm happy to be able to help out as much as I can. Like in reality, like as much as I can do, I will absolutely do it for them. Even if he didn't have what happened to him, I was willing to do anything I could for him and his family. I was trying to throw him a diaper party, then the whole pandemic thing messed that up. I like would bring diapers to their house all the time, toys, whatever I could do, just because I love Hacker. So that project was hard. It was actually the brainchild of Ulysses, Gabriel Forza. He came up with the concept of doing a calendar to try to raise money. And then people think that I came up with the idea. It was literally all his idea. He just, doesn't have the skill base to be able to make a calendar. So that's where I stepped in, and like I always said, I would do as much as I possibly could. It was a rough couple weeks printing that, editing that. It was on my mind constantly. It was like one of those things where, like, if I wasn't doing it, would I be thinking about this as much? Absolutely not. And sometimes you need that because, like you said, like mental health I suffer horribly from depression. A lot of people don't know that. I keep my shit close to my chest. I'm always down to talk about it. My shit is never going to be the same as someone else's shit. But that was hard. That was really, really hard to work on. And because I feel horrible about it too, because of the pandemic, the whole concept was pick up your calendar at the shows. Yeah. Every show got canceled. I have a box of calendars that I either have to send out to people or drive around to deliver them to people. And again, like, it wasn't, I want the project to be done with, and it's hanging over my head. And I am so happy to be able to help out as much as possible. I talk to Roz every single day about Hacker. She sent me an awesome birthday message. It was my birthday last week. Hacker sent me an awesome birthday message. I laughed and I cried when I watched it. I just want him to get better, man. I wish I didn't ever have to do that project. Yeah.
It's a tough one too, because you worked on it. Well, and having to work on it so close too, like that was it's hard. Yeah.
It was the one positive I can take from it though is, like, we shot that whole calendar minus Alexia's photo in the span of an hour, and everybody that signed up for it showed up to the studio prompt, which you never get with
no kidding
wrestlers, let alone like just studio time. Every single one of them showed up. They all had this idea that they were going to come in their gimmicks. I said, let's not do gimmicks. This is going to be real. This is not going to be wrestling. We're going to, not expose ourselves, but just be a little bit more vulnerable with this photo shoot. And everyone just kind of came in their clothes that they wear, or, a little bit more like dressy up, and did some nice like fashion shots. A bunch of us were smoking cigars because that's what we do. Like with Hacker, like we go to Hacker's house, we watch wrestling. Me, Saber, Brad, whoever it is, Easy, like the Steve Brown would show up, and we smoked cigars together. That's what we did. So we wanted to have that tied in. A lot of people won't understand. The funny part of it is on the back, I just wrote, it's a blank white page, and I just wrote, "We love you, Hacker." And then they punched a hole to hang the calendar. So in this little tiny text where it says, "I love you, Hacker," there's a hole right in the middle, and you can barely read what it says. But it's funny. Bad. Hacker would laugh at it, man. He would get a kick out of it.
And I guarantee you, anybody who paid money, myself included, for the calendar, it's less about the calendar. It was more about making sure that Hacker had the things that he needed and his family had. So I can speak for myself, at least, that's definitely my way of thinking of it. So I'm glad you did it, and I'm glad that you went through what you did for it, because I think it was important to do. So
thanks, man. Yeah,
you're welcome.
100%.
Yeah, well, man, that's all that we care about.
Exactly.
Like, for him to be able to hold his daughter, that's literally fucking all I care about, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, two questions for you.
Two questions. Okay.
Two questions. The first question is tools of the trade. We asked this of folks that are creative. What do you need every day that you're creating, or that you're doing something, that you're working, that just makes it all work better for you?
Socks and underwear, man. You put it on. No, like, honestly, that's all it is. Just like work with what you have and get out there and do it. Just put on your socks, put on your underwear, put on your pants, put on your jacket, and go outside and shoot. If you're not shooting, what the fuck are you doing, right? That in the photography mindset, right? Like, just do. Because there's been tons of times where, like, I don't do, where I'm like, oh, I could go out and shoot today. I'm not going to. Well, I just missed out on, like, the possible, we're
lazy photographer, this guy.
I did it today because it was minus 28. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, she was horrible today. But like, it's not even just today. It's like any day, any job, anything you love. We all have a million reasons why we're not gonna do it, and then we're just waking up tomorrow with the exact same thing as we had as yesterday. I could have easily not have gone to. So the first show I ever shot in the audience was Smash Wrestling. The only reason why I went that day, there was a horrible ice storm, and I live a little north of the city. I could not drive home. I had to stay at my parents' house. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't like go by like drive to get like Tim's or anything, but they live right on the GO line. So I was able to just jump on the train and get to the show. I could have just sat there and been like, yeah, I'm not, it's so cold and icy outside. It's not safe to go, but I just did it. And you just got to do it. Like just tools of the trade. It doesn't matter, man. You've seen it, Brian, man. Like people shooting within like kit 18 to 55. You guys we're all photographers. So we've all seen people shoot with nothing.
Right.
but like if you just do it, you do it. And if you don't, then what do you have to show? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely
I had a customer just the other day literally tell me, before you can run a marathon, you got to put on your shoes. So put on your shoes, Brian. Get it done.
Yeah. It's just create your own success, man. Don't rely on anybody else. Just fucking do it. Just and if you suck, at least you're getting better. And if you're not getting better, at least you're making yourself happy.
Yeah. And please wear underwear. Please wear underwear.
100%. Yeah. Okay, last question, and then we will let you go. The last question is, what's your jam?
Dude, I can talk about me all night.
But now you can. So what's your jam? What song can you never skip past? You love to hear every day. Whenever it comes on, it just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. Is there that one song that just makes you love it?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I have to pick one?
Well, I mean, a lot of people will say a band or a couple, but yeah, it just in general.
Okay. I'm just going to go with the first one that comes to my mind is probably God Only Knows by the Beach Boys.
Okay. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. My musical taste is like everywhere. Like it's bad, but like I love hip hop. Like I got like I don't know if you guys are into like Canadian music. If you're into Canadian music, I got like a Wolf Parade LP here. If you guys aren't familiar with Wolf Parade, phenomenal band from Montreal. But then like right beside it is a Jack White album, and then Beatles.
Oh yeah, a little bit of everything. Totally.
A little bit of everything. I got like, oh yeah, like this is what I was listening to the other day, like the Monkees, right? Like
nice.
I can listen to everything. I'm huge into hip hop and folk music, 100%. Like I'm obsessed with folk music. But like the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, I think I've got. It's literally first in the line. Actually, is like beat. Oh, okay. Well, this is how much I love this album. The first two albums on my shelf are Pet Sounds and Pet Sounds. I think it's probably musically the most like brilliant made album, and God Only Knows like is hands down a masterpiece. I tried really hard to make it our wedding song, and I got
vetoed.
Hard vetoed. It was the second song they played at our wedding.
That's okay. That's all right. I tried really hard to have Celine.
That's a win. That's a win.
Yeah, I tried really hard to have Celine Dion not played at my wedding, and she was still played. So I lost.
That's a loss.
We were told to like. I made like a full set list for what was supposed to be played during the like reception, like the dinner time. And the DJ comes in and he starts playing Michael Bublé, and I call him over and he's like, "Hi, I'm Geoffrey, the groom." He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Congratulations." I was like, "Yeah, did you get my playlist?" And he was like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "Michael Bublé wasn't on it, bud. Get back to your station. We're not doing that."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like.
Right on.
If I had to pick like one song that I would never skip through, it God Only Knows is 100% it. If I had to pick a hip hop song, like if I'm just going to go on the other side of things, hip hop would probably be like I would go with like Wu-Tang. Cash rules everything around me. Probably,
Okay.
yeah. That's one that I like would never skip. I'd probably.
I mean, Wu-Tang in general, but yeah.
Yeah. When I was doing my fish tanks today, I listened to like 3.5 hours of like live Wu-Tang concerts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to dig into that a little more. And that's why we ask these questions, because we have to get new music all the time. We need new music.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Don't worry, Brian. We'll make sure you know that Wu-Tang ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah. Wu-Tang's for the children.
All right. Well, Geoffrey, man, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I know you've got things to do. Mark, Aurora, Ryan, anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Yes.
I saluted, so.
I just want to say thanks for coming on, Geoffrey. And I wanted to ask, where can everybody follow you?
Oh, yeah. So, like, if you want to see my wrestling stuff, Instagram is just Shooting the Indies. If you want to follow me and see non-wrestling stuff, Instagram, ggcole.photography. Pretty simple. And, yeah, you can find me there. That's about it. Or in Caledon. You can find me in Caledon as well.
In Caledon.
Yeah.
And for us, just like, please follow us at Expressions of Podcast on basically everything, and give us a like, share. Yeah.
Or don't, it's up to you.
Don't.
No, do. Definitely do.
Please share.
Come this far into the show, just click the like button.
Yeah, if you haven't liked it by this time, you are never liking it.
Not like anything.
Either that or you're off to laundry or something. Socks and underwear. And,
all right.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, this is awesome. This is a blast.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you so much. And for all of you who haven't watched our other episodes, make sure you go back and check some of them out. This is our season 2. We've done a whole 35 episodes in season 1 that you can go back to. Pretty much everybody, every type of artist that we've talked to, from Forged and Fire champions to, I mean, it's been awesome. What's going on?
I just looked at Geoffrey's face. He's like, wait, how did these guys get renewed for a second season? I'm as shocked as you are. Clearly.
I want to know how there was 35 people that was active.
Thank you. I knew that was coming.
I'll be honest. I will tell you why. Because Ryan is not a photographer, and we've been trying to limit the photographers that we've had on, so that
I'm not a photographer either.
I specifically said no. They came to me. They went, "What about you?" I went, "No, I don't know."
All right. Well, that's it.
Guy.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The worst. I do have a beta aquarium set up.
Yeah.
But there's no fishing. It's still aging.
I think we might have just became best friends. Everyone else.
Yeah, you guys.
I'm just going to
guitars, scotch, and fish. He's back. So anyways, that's how you put the caramel in the caramel bar.